Hello, and welcome to today's briefing. I'm Dana, and joining me is Matt. We're covering a wide range of news stories, from politics to entertainment.
Hi, Dana. Hello, everyone. I'm Matt. Let's dive into our first story.
The conversation around voting for socialist candidates has been gaining traction in various news outlets. The question posed is straightforward. Would you ever vote for a socialist candidate? Various news sources have been covering this topic, reflecting different perspectives across the country.
That's an interesting question. It seems like a pretty straightforward poll, but the implications are complex. What are your thoughts on how this question is being received across different news outlets?
The coverage varies significantly. Some outlets frame it as a discussion about the principles of socialism, while others focus on the political viability of socialist candidates. For instance, some articles highlight the growing popularity of socialist policies among younger voters.
So it seems like the reception is quite divided. Have you come across any specific arguments for or against voting for socialist candidates that stood out in the coverage?
One perspective is that socialist candidates offer a much-needed shift in economic policies, addressing income inequality and providing more comprehensive social welfare programs. On the other hand, some argue that socialist policies could lead to inefficiencies and increased government control over personal freedoms.
That's a great point. The debate really hinges on how one weighs the potential benefits against the risks. It's also worth noting that the term socialist can mean different things to different people.
Exactly. The definition of socialism and its implementation can vary widely. Let's move on to our next story. North Carolina Republican Congressman Chuck Edwards has withdrawn from his re-election campaign days after the House Ethics Committee recommended he be censured for unprofessional and inappropriate conduct toward two young female aides.
Wow, that's quite a development. The timing suggests a strong connection between the Ethics Committee's recommendation and his decision to drop out. What do we know about the allegations against him?
The allegations involve unprofessional and inappropriate conduct toward two young female aides. The House Ethics Committee's recommendation for censure indicates that they found his actions to be serious enough to warrant formal disciplinary action.
That must have been a difficult decision for him. Do we know how this might affect the Republican Party's chances in that district?
The article suggests that the party might struggle to maintain their hold on the seat given the controversy surrounding Edwards. His withdrawal could lead to a more competitive race.
That makes sense. The fallout from such allegations can be significant. Let's move on to our next story.
The Trump administration has revoked the visa of Brazil's ambassador to the United States in retaliation for Brazil's denial of visas to two American diplomats who sought to visit ahead of October elections.
This is an interesting escalation in diplomatic tensions. What are the potential implications of such actions?
Revoking an ambassador's visa is a significant diplomatic move. It indicates a serious deterioration in relations between the two countries. The context here is Brazil's decision to deny visas to American diplomats, which the U.S. saw as an interference in their ability to observe the elections.
Right, and the reporting ties this to upcoming elections in Brazil. So this is not just a bilateral issue, but also related to electoral observation.
Exactly. The U.S. is signaling that it won't tolerate what it perceives as interference in its diplomatic activities. Let's move on to our next story. Abdul El-Sayed has won Michigan's Democratic nomination for U.S. Senate, defeating U.S. Rep. Haley Stevens in a victory for the party's progressive wing.
This is a significant win for the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. What does this mean for the general election?
El-Sayed's victory positions the Democrats with a progressive candidate against Republican Mike Rogers. Michigan is a battleground state, so this race is likely to be highly competitive.
So why does this matter for the Democrats?
El-Sayed's win reflects a shift within the party towards more progressive policies, which could energize the base. However, it also raises questions about how appealing these policies will be to more moderate voters.
That's a great point. The challenge will be balancing the progressive agenda with broader appeal. Let's move on to our next story.
U.S. President Donald Trump warned Iran that it would be hit very hard unless the strategic Strait of Hormuz is reopened very soon.
This is a pretty stark warning. What's the context behind this statement?
The Strait of Hormuz is a critical waterway for global oil supplies. Tensions have been high between the U.S. and Iran, with the U.S. seeking to ensure the free flow of oil through this strait.
So what are the potential consequences if Iran doesn't comply?
The threat of military action is significant. The U.S. is indicating that it is willing to take decisive action to protect its interests and ensure the stability of global oil markets.
That's a very serious escalation. Let's move on to our next story.
Air India has appointed former Ethiopian Airlines Group chief Tewolde Gebremariam as its CEO and managing director, replacing Campbell Wilson.
That's a significant appointment. What does Gebremariam bring to the table?
Gebremariam has nearly 4 decades of aviation experience and a track record of leading Ethiopian Airlines' global growth. Air India is looking to expand and improve its operations, so his expertise is likely to be valuable.
That makes sense. Air India is undergoing significant changes. How might this appointment impact their expansion plans?
Gebremariam's experience could help Air India navigate the challenges of expansion, particularly in stabilizing international operations and addressing financial challenges.
Let's move on to our next story.
China has announced restrictions on drone exports to the United States and blacklisted 6 companies in response to trade sanctions imposed by Washington.
This is a clear retaliatory move by China. What are the implications of these countermeasures?
The restrictions on drone exports and the blacklisting of U.S. companies indicate a tit-for-tat response to the U.S. trade sanctions. This escalates the trade tensions between the 2 countries.
So how might this affect the trade relationship between the U.S. and China?
It further complicates the already strained trade relations. Both countries are engaging in a series of retaliatory measures which could have broader implications for global trade. Let's move on to our next story. Infineon Technologies reported higher net profit and segment result in its 3rd quarter, driven by booming demand from AI data centers and a recovery in automotive orders.
That's great news for Infineon. What drove their revenue growth?
The company saw significant demand from AI data centers and a recovery in automotive orders. This has led to a record quarterly revenue.
That's impressive. How does this reflect on the broader semiconductor industry?
Infineon's performance indicates a strong recovery and growth in the semiconductor sector, particularly driven by AI and automotive demand.
Let's move on to our next story.
Actavo Group reported pre-tax profits almost doubling to $23.12 million as the directors continued to streamline the business.
That's a significant increase in profits. What contributed to this growth?
The company has been streamlining its operations, exiting certain businesses, and focusing on core areas. This strategic approach has likely contributed to the improved financial performance.
So, what does this say about Actavo's business strategy?
The focus on streamlining and optimizing their operations seems to be paying off. It's a reflection of effective management and strategic decision-making. Let's move on to our next story. There's been a salmonella outbreak linked to jalapenos at Chipotle and Qdoba, which has expanded to 27 states.
That's concerning. What are the details of the outbreak?
Chipotle and Qdoba have removed jalapenos from their restaurants. The outbreak has sickened hundreds of people across the country.
So what are the potential implications for these restaurants?
The outbreak could impact customer trust and sales. Both chains are cooperating with authorities to investigate the source of the outbreak.
Let's move on to our next story.
Arsenal has agreed a $75 million deal to sign Newcastle United captain Bruno Guimaraes.
That's a significant transfer. What does this mean for Arsenal?
The signing of Guimaraes would be a major boost for Arsenal, strengthening their midfield. The deal is reportedly worth $75 million.
So, what are the implications for Newcastle?
Losing a key player like Guimaraes could impact Newcastle's performance. They'll need to find a suitable replacement.
Let's move on to our next story.
Carlos Alcaraz has withdrawn from the Cincinnati Open due to a lingering right wrist injury.
That's unfortunate for Alcaraz. What are the implications for his U.S. Open defense?
The injury has been ongoing since April, and his withdrawal from Cincinnati raises concerns about his fitness for the U.S. Open.
So how might this affect his chances at the U.S. Open?
If Alcaraz isn't fully fit, it could impact his performance. The U.S. Open is a significant tournament for him, and any lingering injury could be a challenge.
Let's move on to our next story.
Tarik Skubal made his Los Angeles Dodgers debut, pitching 6 effective innings against the Chicago Cubs.
That's a great debut for Skubal. What were the highlights of his performance?
Skubal pitched 6 effective innings, helping the Dodgers. Although they lost the game 5-1, his performance was a positive sign.
Let's move on to our next story.
Trabzonspor, a Turkish club, has begun negotiations to sign Egyptian forward Mohamed Salah.
That's a big move for Trabzonspor. What does Salah bring to the team?
Salah is a highly skilled forward with significant experience playing for top clubs. His signing could be a major boost for Trabzonspor.
Let's move on to our next story.
Legendary jockey Robbie Alvarado has died at 52 after a health issue.
That's sad news. What was Alvarado known for?
Alvarado was a renowned jockey with over 5,000 race victories, including 2 Prix wins. He had a distinguished career in horse racing.
Let's move on to our next story.
Princess Eugenie has announced the birth of her 3rd child, a baby girl in Lisbon, Portugal.
Congratulations to Princess Eugenie and her family. What are the details of the birth?
The baby was born at a hospital in Lisbon. Princess Eugenie and her husband, Jack Brooksbank, are beyond in love with their new daughter.
Let's move on to our next story.
Barry Manilow canceled his Kentucky concert just minutes before showtime due to unforeseen circumstances.
That's surprising. What are the details surrounding the cancellation?
Manilow announced the cancellation on his X handle, citing unforeseen circumstances. This is not the first time he's had to cancel a show.
Let's move on to our next story.
The new Spider-Man film has crossed $1 billion globally in just 6 days, becoming the second